Hi, and happy Word Nerd Wednesday. I am switching it up just slightly today. I had basically a conversation with my mom about my Word Nerd Wednesdays, and she gave me some ideas, and we had a good talk, and I had decided that today I would just tackle one word and see how that goes. And it's a big word anyway. The word that I will be talking about today is the word normal. It is an interestingly complex and controversial word that comes from a background or a history that completely makes sense in wrecking this sort of turmoil that the word normal has. Because turmoil, turmoil the word normal has, because normal is defined by something, the definition of normal is something that basically has nothing to do with what it means today. So normal came into English circa 1500s, meant typical, common in that time, but it's from late Latin, normalis, which meant in conformity with rule. Normal from Latin normalis, which means made according to a carpenter's square, from norma, which means rule, pattern, which is really interesting if your name is Norma. Your name means ruler pattern. And literally the meaning of norma, which I guess is interesting as well if that's your name, is carpenter's square. Now, carpenter's square comes from an unknown origin, and also, of course, is related to norm, right? So norm also means standard pattern model in its most recent definitional context, but also comes from late Latin, the word norma, which they just say was used in English in the sense of carpenter square. Now, this word normal has, today it's used as like a blanket excuse. It's used as a means of othering people. It's used as a means of shaming people. It's used as a means of rejecting people. And it's used as a means of implying that there is such a thing as normalcy or normality, when obviously, even by definition, there was no such thing as normalcy, because that carpenter, and arguably probably it was a family of carpenters, decided on that measurement, and that measurement became the standard, and that standard became the word normal. But obviously, that carpenter, it doesn't say every carpenter square, it doesn't say the League of Extraordinary Carpenters Squares, it doesn't say all the carpenters in the world agreed on this square footage or whatever standard that they use at that, probably like fingers, widths, whatever, stock, wheat. So this particular carpenter family who decided on the carpenter square did not know, or maybe they did not intend, or maybe they did, for this word to be so enormous and so overbearing in today's world. Excuse me, I know I play with my hair a lot, but I'm not usually looking at myself, so it's always like, oh, what's happening here? So, normal, right? Now, I find normal an interesting word, and the reason that I wanted to sort of tackle it is because I think that it is so far removed from understanding by anyone who uses it that it not only wreaks havoc in the public social sphere by means of rejection or otherness or divides, but also it creates this false idea that somehow humans, or any human, or a group of humans, or particular kinds of humans, have any idea or indication what is normal in the universe, as if humans made the universe. We know humans didn't make the universe, or else why would we be so batshit crazy and miserable? It certainly wouldn't be, unless we were like, you know, petty gods, which is very possible. In fact, some people would say that's exactly what we are. But this idea that there's any sort of standard, such as a carpenter square, by which for all humans to mark their legitimacy or their inclusivity or their ability to fit in or be accepted is absurd. I say this very often in my readings. I say it very often to people that I know. There are two things that I know for sure about what seems to be going on in the universe. The first thing I think I know, let's say there's two things I think I know about the universe, okay? The first thing is that every human is born from a mother. Every human on earth is born from a mother, butt naked and ignorant. That's my first presumption. And even if the baby isn't ignorant, baby ain't got the language to tell you all the things it knows. That's the movie Baby Geniuses, which was a lot better than people give it credit for, just on concept alone. Now, the other thing that I'm pretty sure that I know, at least in terms of appearances, is that humans are sentient meat, which is to say we are conscious, speaking, animated meat that are all living atop a abundant and also chaotic cyclical organism that is floating around a ball of fire, which, by the way, is floating around an even bigger ball of fire, and all this is happening in infinite space that seems empty but is not. So, considering that that is the most relatable, most general, most all-applicable understanding that I have of both humanity and the world and existence, and that, to me, that's my normal. That is what is normal. So considering that is absurd and crazy and so many other words that I just do not have the time to express right now or think of, my standard of normalcy is on a much broader spectrum than a lot of people. Some people will say it's not normal for a woman to have short hair. You can clearly see the limitations that they put themselves on. I actually just came across this interesting video on YouTube about this entity called Bashar, and we don't need to talk about whether entities really exist or not, because that's not the point of the conversation I'm about to bring you. But what I am going to say is that this entity Bashar, who is from another dimension, according to the person who communicates on their behalf, says that his race, or its race, or it, maybe it's he, calls the human race the masters of limitation. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I've ever heard anything more accurate to just describe everybody in masters of limitation. 3 words. So, normalcy. I mean, there's really not a lot more to say about the origin of the word, because the origin of the word is as ridiculous as the idea. There is no standard of normalcy. Everyone has a standard of normalcy. Maybe there's a median in there that some people can agree upon, but when we encompass all the outliers and every single person's idea of normalcy, I don't really know where that line lies, particularly on this earth where people are, you know, I think a little bit crazier than need be. And so I just wanted to bring attention to this one word, normalcy. If you ever say to somebody, that's not normal, I suggest you really think about what you mean. Or contextualize that statement further by saying, that's not normal to me. That's not normal to me and mine and thems that I know. That's not normal to the standards by which I was raised. That's not normal by the standards by which I was raised to understand. That's not normal because of the way that I feel. That's not normal because I don't like it, so I don't want it in my life. But never say to someone they're not normal and not contextualize that statement, because nobody is a carpenter's square, okay? I was going to say, I don't even know a carpenter, but I do. I know carpenters, but even they are not carpenter squares. And so to use this word that has come to mean standard, pattern, model, which also means norma, which also comes to mean, oh, I done skipped it. Hold on a second. That also has come to mean typical, common. There's nothing typical or common about what begat the word normal, other than the fact that back then in the area that it was derived in, that word, that there was a standard of a carpenter square that those people in that village abided by. I mean, what a rigorous word, because I can't imagine that that carpenter square was even known across an entire country by the same measurement, let alone for it to be a word in the world that's used so casually by the world. But I think it does a lot of damage to say this word to people, and I think it does a lot of damage to the credibility of the universe, which is pushing out every type of possible potential oddity that you even have the ability to conceptualize, because we are an extension of the universe. Everyone is strange, but there are stranger things even than us. There are stranger planets. There are stranger creatures. There are stranger circumstances. There are stranger environments than any of us are really capable of fathoming. And to say that we understand what normal is or what normalcy is a false, it sets a false standard of reality in everybody's like, what's the word? In everybody's perspective and sphere of perspective. That's what it creates a false sense of reality in everyone's sphere of perspective, where they can turn that word against each other as if somehow humans are the standard of what is normal. If anything is a standard of what is normal, it's what begat everything. And if that's the universe, then we can know that nothing is normal but a carpenter's square. So in fact, I take it back. If you're going to use the words normal, please be referring to a carpenter's square and nothing else. Today, that is Word Nerd Wednesday on the word normal. I am also going to be changing a little bit of my framework of how I set up the posts, because I think I want to add sort of multimedia into the posts. I want to maybe make the post itself all I do rather than linking you to my website, because it is kind of becoming cluttered on my website. Although I do have a YouTube page where these full videos are put, because obviously YouTube, Instagram only allows 1-minute videos at a time, and I'm not going to do 11 minutes of slides. So thank you for tuning in today, learning about how much BS the word normal is, and how you are not normal and neither am I, and probably neither is nobody that you've met, although there are probably people who, along your standard of normalcy, fall in line. And to all the carpenters out there, enjoy your normal, and we'll talk next Wednesday. Bye-bye.